So the current situation is this. If you have COVID and you end up in the hospital, you're put on a rigid protocol, and there's high mortality rate in the hospital, and your family is kept in the dark as to what's happening. So what's going on here? Number one, the CARES Act is providing bonus payments to hospitals whenever you have a diagnosis of COVID. And then number two, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services is waiving patient rights. This is a deadly combination. So here's what happens. You get a payment because you offer a free COVID test in the emergency room. You get a boost payment if you have a diagnosis of COVID. Number three, you get another bonus payment if you are admitted with COVID. Number four, you get another bonus payment if you're put on remdesivir. Number five, another bonus payment if you're put on a mechanical ventilator. Number six, another 20% bonus if the diagnosis on your death certificate says COVID, even though you may not have died from COVID. And then number seven, there's bonus payments to coroners. Do you understand the gravity of what's happening right now? The Biden administration is literally paying hospitals to kill you. That's what's happening. This is terrible. We need to stop that. These are real human lives we're talking about. They're priceless. It's estimated at about $100,000 per patient is what the hospital's getting. Think about that. Ladies and gentlemen, the real news of right now continues. So the current situation is this. If you have COVID...
Hello all, and welcome back to my channel, Red Femme Diaries. Hi all. It's been a long time. Well, not too long. It's been a few days since I've spoken to you all last, but you guys, I'm so close to 3,000 subscribers. Like, I cannot believe it. I know, you've got people on YouTube that have like millions of subscribers. I get it. But for me, in my little tiny corner of YouTube, 3,000, almost 3,000 subscribers means the world to me. And you subscribers that listen to me and all your words of encouragement mean just the world to me. So I'm so excited. So I want to say that once I get past 3,000 subscribers, I would really like to do my first live stream. But I gotta crawl before you walk. Anyway, let's get into this video. It's not going to be a very long one. I'll make this one pretty quick. But shout out to one of my subscribers, you know who you are, Pastor, that sent me this clip that we just saw here. And there's honestly not even a whole lot that I really can say because that clip is self-explanatory. I guess what I want to talk about is something that I've discussed before, and I still don't understand how there are so many people that are just in such a deep, dark sleep right now. Okay? Like everything that man there said is absolutely true. I looked it up myself. He talks about the CARE Act. Such an evil act. It was called the CARE Act, stood for the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. The CARES Act. It was a $2.2 trillion economic stimulus bill signed into law by President Donald Trump. This was in March 2020. And at this point was a time that I realized that I'm going to start looking towards the Word of God rather than to man to fix this situation that we're in. Because I was a total Trump supporter. I mean, I was down for Trump, and I still, think he was one of the greatest presidents. But when things like this happen, citing this CARES Act, that's when I realized, you know what I mean? You can't trust anyone on this earth anymore. This country is on its way out. We have to accept what is, open our eyes, and start to prepare because we're on our way down. $2.2 trillion that the government gives the people is simply, I call it hush money, blood money, to shut up as they shut down the economy and began to put into play actions to stop our freedoms. They want us completely terrified. Excuse me. They want to keep us terrified in a state of constant fear of this coronavirus, it's everywhere. You see people walking outside in the fresh air with masks on their face. It's put up barriers, so that not just face shields, but actual physical barriers so that we can't talk to each other. It's pitted us against each other. Are you for vax? Are you against vax? And man, if we only open our eyes, we would understand this is all part of the plan to cause a bunch of confusion and chaos and fear, because then the powers can come in and control you. Like you see, when I first saw that video, I knew these things, but just to hear another person speak about the clear plan was just incredible. So I did a little bit of research on my own to make sure that what he was saying was correct, and it absolutely is true. So here's an article I got from USA Today, and this is a very liberal publication like most of them. And even they say hospital administrators might well want to see COVID-19 attached to a discharge summary or death certificate. Why? Because if it's a straightforward garden variety pneumonia that a person is admitted to the hospital for, if they're Medicare, typically the diagnosed related group lump sum payment would be $5,000. That's for typical pneumonia. But if it's COVID-19 pneumonia, then it's $13,000. And if that COVID-19 pneumonia patient ends up on a ventilator, it goes up to $39,000. And some will stop there and say, see, it's all about money. All this is about money. No, but it's even bigger than that. It's about complete and utter control. You have to understand that this is spiritual warfare that we're in. So it's not just about money, that they're using money to pay these hospitals and doctors off to, propel their evil plans, yes. But at the end, this is a battle of good and evil. God against Satan. And so he wants your soul, And so this is very big. This isn't just about paying, these hospitals getting paid extra money. They want their plans to go forward. What's been already prophesied in the scripture, that it's going to get to the point that if you do not bow to the beast, that you will not be able to buy and sell. And they're already coming up with mechanisms to make that happening. It's happening in real time in our lifetime. And there's still so many people that remain asleep and don't want to realize what's happening. But although in this particular case, with the CARE Act and $2.2 trillion, which essentially that causes the inflation to go up so high, if you guys notice, prices are skyrocketing because our money essentially is worth garbage. China owns us. We're surrounded on all ends. There's no hope for this country. There really isn't. And even when I talk to certain people and I try to explain to them what's to come, they just simply don't care. And even a good friend of mine was like, it's cool to be, complacent and just so, it is what it is. And trust me, they have been working on us for a long time, because this was not, the true American spirit. We fought and we believed in fighting for our freedoms and our rights, but we have now turned into a gluttonous, lazy, entitled people. That's why they've been able to come in and just throw $2.2 trillion at us, and we shut up when they shut down entire economies, and we don't say a word because we're so afraid that the Rona might get us. I wasn't even trying to speak a whole lot, and I already am speaking a lot, but I want to transition this, and that from what I said earlier, trust and believe, I do understand that money is a big, huge part of this. And I'm going to show you another clip here in a few minutes. And as some of you guys know, I don't want to keep mentioning it, but I do have cancer. And so one of the worst parts about having cancer is pretty much we all know that there's no cure, right? We know this. But yet they say you're supposed to get chemo and radiation, but there's no cure. Now, I've chosen not to have chemo or radiation, so you have two camps. You have those that say, well, good job, Red Femme. You didn't take the chemo or radiation. You're not taking that poison. Good job. Now you're going to live forever. And that's not how it works. Because there's so many different natural things that you can take, but because money isn't put into finding a cure, because that's not where the money is, it's hard to say which thing is the right thing. And then some people, I say that I'm not doing chemo, they say, oh, it means you want to die, you don't care. I've even had people tell me that I don't care about my children because I chose not to take the chemo. Someone explained it like this. Chemotherapy for cancer is akin to using a flame torch to get rid of the termites in your house. It's overkill. Chemo is a poison. I'm going to show a video after this that showed that chemo came from mustard gas. So chemo kills all your cells. If you are able to survive the chemo from killing all your other cells, then essentially it's not that you beat cancer, you survived chemo. But I made my choice for specific reasons. But I'll say this, and I saw this in an article. It's on slate.com, and it says this here. But for a lot of other cancers, the treatments aren't giving us bang for the buck. Spending $100,000 to $200,000 a year to extend life for an additional 3 to 6 months may be very important to those individuals with cancer, but are a very poor return on investment for society. So essentially, when you go through all these things and poisons and whatnot, you might give yourself a few extra months, and that's what I'm supposed to do because that's what makes sense to people, that I'm already sick, but I'm supposed to poison myself even more so that people will feel comfortable. What a tough, tough world that we live in, huh, people? They tell us that when we're sick, we're supposed to poison ourselves even more, and if you don't do it, you're a terrible person. They tell us that, that there's this virus out right now called COVID, and you got to take this vaccine. And you might say, well, wait a minute, what's in the vaccine? And they say, well, don't worry about what's in the vaccine. But you said, I think I need to know what's in the vaccine because the vaccine can cause me harm. Well, you don't need to know what's in the vaccine because even if it causes you harm, it doesn't matter because we're not going to do nothing about it anyway. And you have millions of people lining up to be guinea pigs for a government that doesn't give a damn about you. And if I speak out about this, then I am the crazy one. But I guess I've decided just to go ahead and be crazy because it doesn't make any sense to me to inject myself with experimental vaccines with mRNA in which they do not know how it will affect human cells. But I'm supposed to line up. I told you guys before, I'm the only one in my office where I work that has a religious exemption. And trust me, to get that religious exemption, my right to refuse something injected into my body, believe me, I had a dag near preach a sermon to get that exemption. But I'm the only one in my office. I'm crazy. Right? The cancer industry, the pharmaceutical industry, multi-billion, they make billions of dollars peddling their chemo drugs when we all know that there is no cure for cancer, but I'm supposed to get the chemo though, right? Even though we know that it's not a cure. And they make billions of dollars because natural remedies are pennies on the dollar, right? So they don't want that. Because you got to understand the pharmaceutical companies are making billions. All these research, donate, donate to cancer research. It's been decades and decades and decades. And what do we have? We have chemo and radiations, two things that do nothing but kill and destroy. Well, they're making billions on their quote-unquote research. The thing about it is, if you find an actual cure, then you don't get the research dollars anymore. But I'm the fool. Anyway, I'm going on one of my little rants. So we're going to go ahead and show this video now. So I'll say my ending. Just really quick again, I just want to make it clear. Just thank y'all. Yeah, I mean, you guys have no idea that your comments and your words just keep me going even in the time of the things I'm going through right now. So I just want to thank you guys so much. So here we go. Please like this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel. This is Red Femme Diaries. Goodbye.
When the Germans introduced the horrors of chemical warfare to the battlefields of the First World War, one of their favorite go-to agents was the devastating sulfur-based cytotoxic chemical known as mustard gas. Although banned by the Geneva Protocol of 1925, the outbreak of World War II caused concerns from the Allied nations that Germany would yet again revert to chemical weapons. The Allies' concerns led to further study, which discovered that mustard gas, or nitrogen mustard, appeared to be an effective treatment against cancer. As a result, 2 pharmacologists from the Yale School of Medicine were commissioned by the U.S. Department of Defense to investigate potential therapeutic applications of chemical warfare agents. Louis Goodman and Alfred Gilman observed that mustard gas was too volatile an agent to be suitable for laboratory experiments. But when they exchanged a nitrogen molecule for sulfur, they discovered a more stable compound in nitrogen mustard. A year into the start of their research, a German air attack at the Americans' 15th Air Force supply port of Bari, Italy, led to the exposure and death of 1,000 port workers. When a secret cargo of mustard gas bombs released their deadly contents when they exploded on the SS John Harvey. Dr. Stuart Francis Alexander, an expert on chemical warfare, was subsequently deployed to investigate the aftermath, and upon autopsy of the victims, he discovered that a profound lymphoid and myeloid suppression had occurred after exposure to mustard gas. After their initial anti-cancer discovery, Goodman and Gilman set up an experimental animal model where they established lymphomas in mice, treating the cancers effectively with mustard agents. Next, in collaboration with thoracic surgeon Gustav Lindskog, they injected mustine, the first prototype nitrogen mustard chemotherapy agent, into a patient with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, observing a profound reduction in the patient's tumor masses. After the first clinical trials for the newly discovered chemotherapy agent was reported in 1946, chemotherapy has become one of the primary cancer treatment options throughout the modern world. And there you have it. World War I mustard gas joins the fight against cancer.